Celebrating Nevada's female athletes, today Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony held a rally to spotlight the achievements of women athletes. The rally aimed to raise awareness to support fair competition and opportunities in women's sports. It all centered around the recent announcement of the Lieutenant Governor's task force to protect women's sports. He says this is a topic that hits close to home after a UNR female athletes recently refused to compete against San Jose State because the team had a biological male competing.
I decided that we needed as a state to stand up and support these female athletes and work to make sure biological men were not taking titles away from women's sports.
After the House passed the Protection of Women and Girls and Sports Act, Silver State Equality released a statement saying, in part, participation in sports provides kids with invaluable life skills such as teamwork, leadership, discipline, and cooperation, fundamental lessons that every young person deserves the chance to experience.